When we talk parity or equalising the performance of these engines, we need to take into account this is a 2 valves per cylinder single camshaft engine, right? This one, on the other hand, is 4 camshafts, 2 here and 2 here, and 4 valves per cylinder. So that's extraordinarily different, but that's made up by making this one 5.7 and this one 5.4. So some other interesting observations when you look at these two engines, so apart from that capacity change, we've got, both of them got a contemporary intake plenum, very much like you see on any modern V8 in a road car, and both of them, 8 injectors down in there near the ports, both of them only have a single butterfly, right, for air intake. Now, that's important because if you look where we've come from, on our current engines, we've got 8 butterflies with 8 injectors. That is expensive and that's finished, and that's really good news.
Having the 2 different inlet systems have 2 different throttle responses, and one of our concerns was that the single throttle body wouldn't be as responsive as the 8 individual ram tubes. One of the testing that Triple Eight have been doing has been about drivability. I actually spoke to Shane Van Gisbergen and he said to me that the drivability is very much better than he anticipated and nearly as good as what we currently have.
And this is important, controlled by a cable, right, that goes all the way back to the driver's foot. On these particular engines, again, modern, contemporary design, we use what's called fly-by-wire. So basically, when the driver puts his throttle down, that sends an electric signal through the computer to this actuator to run the butterfly. So that's pretty cool and allows supercars to do a lot with that in terms of tuning and development of these engines. A couple of other observations, both aluminium block and aluminium heads. Where we've come from are cast iron blocks, much, much heavier. What else do we know? We've got things like the sumps and the oil pumps. A lot more of the componentry on these engines is going to be controlled, similar. And the other really good news for me, this DJR engine, if I pluck that out and try and put it in a Tickford car, won't fit. Same basis, but because of where the front pump mounts, the alternator, the oil pump, the way they do their sump, all the fittings and bits and pieces, it just doesn't go in another car. So that's a real problem. So we've got teams up and down pit lane have developed a whole lot of the same engines differently. Now, these engines, this engine can come out of a DJR car and slot straight into any Ford car in the field. That's a really cost-effective thing for the category to do. Now, what's really interesting is the Ford Coyote engine actually has variable cam timing.
Variable cam timing, which the Ford have, is late model technology. What it has 4 camshafts, it has positions on each camshaft, so it knows where each camshaft is. That sends it to the ECU. The ECU then controls all solenoids, which changes the position of the camshaft throughout the RPM range. So all 4 cams can change their position as the RPM changes. Very accurate and very quick. What that means for an engine, the engine can, but you're changing the overlap, you're basically changing the position of the camshaft through the RPM range. It makes more power, but more importantly for supercars, it's a good parity tool and it's a way that we can balance the 2 engines.
So, in summary, 5 litre, 650 horsepower. Now we're going to knock about 50 horsepower out of these intentionally. There's going to be around 600 horsepower, but they're still going to make the 480 foot-pounds of torque that these existing engines make.
When we mapped out the Gen 3 car, we wanted to try and keep a target of 300k down the chute at Bathurst, for example. So we've been able to take a lot of downforce off the car, so hopefully that allows them to follow a lot closer. When we've done that, we're taking weight out of the car, so we can easily come down from 650 horsepower we've got today to around the 600 now and still meet those targets, still be as fast down Conrod as we currently are. That enables us to go to a different engine architecture, move the rebuild limits where we are today around 4,000 out to around 10,000. That's all good things for the teams. Hopefully it's good things for the fans.
So there's the basic engine specification. So if you're thinking like me, Wow, that sounds painful to arrive at two completely different engines outputting the same everything. Well, you're right. So what is that process? How was it done? Who tried it on? We'll go to that in our next instalment.